Hello, everybody. It's a Saturday evening, 7 o'clock, and the music starts. That means it's time to start the show. My name is Rex Perry. I'm the host and creator of the show. And if you happen to just tune in, we talk business, politics, and economics, because business, politics, and economics are all connected. And we have a lot of different interviews with different companies and different organizations. And we're excited to have our first guest for the show, Ramon. Please give us your last name. Introduce yourself.
Hey, it's Ramon Perez. How are you doing today, Rex?
Very good. Tell us about your organization. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I run an organization which is a nonprofit organization called Digital Democracy Project. We're using mobile voting software to let voters weigh in on legislation that's actively being debated in Congress so that you can let your legislators know how you want them to vote on bills that are being considered, and then hold them accountable to the results by comparing how people vote in the app to how legislators vote on the same bill in Congress.
Now, give us a little bit of your background, because you've actually participated when you were in the military. Tell us your story.
Right. So I was a military officer for about 13 years. And after I left active duty, I got involved as a technology consultant in the area of AI and machine learning. I've been doing that for about a dozen years now. And through that process, I got connected to a lot of people who work in different areas of technology. So things like blockchain or mobile authentication, cryptography, that kind of stuff. And I got connected to Nimit Sawhney, who is the CEO of Voatz, which is VOATZ, and they make mobile voting software so that military members overseas in deployed environments can cast a secure ballot during an election from a phone. Because as you can imagine, if you are in a submarine under the water for 6 months, it's very difficult to get mail in and out. So an absentee ballot is really tough for people in certain deployed environments. So they developed a system that uses a blockchain backend and some pretty heavy-duty cryptography tools to allow a secure ballot to be done from a mobile app. So I got connected to them, and back in 2021, I said, basically, look, if you can do this whole process where you are verifying people against the voter files and you're verifying their photo ID matches, a selfie scan, and you've got all this sort of secure back end to make sure that the vote that's cast is actually the vote that's counted, well, then why do we have to wait every 4 years for people to have a say in their government? Why can't we just use this technology to let people have a say all the time? And so that's where the idea of Digital Democracy Project came from.
Now, let's give it a little bit of technical background here. So describe some of the items that they require for you to actually register on the platform. Give us a feel for that.
Right. Voatz is using the same type of protocol that you would use for any kind of election. So you have to prove your identity. You use your state-issued photo ID or your passport. You're going to take a selfie scan. It's going to check to make sure you're a live person and not a deep fake. It's going to then find you on the voter file. So we get the voter files from the states because we're a nonprofit that we have access to voter files. And so we then can check to make sure that the driver's license you provide matches your face and it matches your record on the voter file, so we know that you're a U.S. citizen and you're a resident of the state and of the particular congressional district. So that is really key, because without that verifiability, we can't necessarily trust the results weren't produced by some robot, or in a Twitter poll, some account in Nigeria somewhere, so that it's being manipulated. We want real voters, and we want legislators to trust that these are real voters so that they can actually pay attention to the results. And ultimately, so that we as voters can say, we've given you our inputs. Now we have to trust you to do what your district is asking you to do and hold them accountable come election time.
Yeah. So, for example, I live in District 3, Arizona District 3. And so you could basically focus in on Arizona District 3, get the voters to vote and register on this platform, and then you could present concepts, you could present ideas, you could present bills and laws that could improve our community. I mean, sensitive stuff like guns and abortion, you can get the input and really quickly from the voters in almost like a straw poll or a plebiscite.
Exactly, and it's real time. And the main advantage is that a legislator can say, I can trust that these are real people in my district. The challenge right now is if you call the switchboard in Congress or you send your legislator an email or write them a letter, a lot of times that gets ignored because they can't verify that these are real voters or that these are voters in their districts. And there's a lot of AI generated slop on the internet now where a lot of emails are being written to Congress from AI based tools where legislators are often just putting those into a spam filter. So we've seen it. We've spent a lot of time talking to legislators on Capitol Hill. We started this in Florida too, so we started with state legislation, spent a lot of time in Tallahassee. And even for a state legislator, the Speaker of the House, for example, of Florida gets 1,200 emails every single day, and his staff does nothing but just filter those into buckets, and most of it is ignored simply because they can't trust the veracity. So we're giving legislators an easier option to hear from their districts, which they find incredibly valuable, regardless of their political party. And the buy-in for voters is that we produce these scorecards at the end of every legislative session where we compare what did your district want. So let's say it's Congressional District 3. What did District 3 want on all of these bills? And what did the legislator from District 3, your congressman, actually do on those same bills when those bills came up for a vote in the session? So I think that's a critical part for voters to say, why would I want to be involved in this process? There's this onerous effort to get into the app. I have to verify my identity. That's a lot of trust to put into this system. And we ask people to participate because of that accountability piece. And about 24,000 voters so far have gone through this process, and our goal is to get to millions of voters throughout all 50 states.
Yeah. So think about it. District 3 of Arizona, individuals that want to get involved could basically go door to door because it's a finite number of people in each legislative district. So it's not a huge problem. I mean, it's not a huge challenge, but people could go door to door or Facebook or email friend to friend, educate them that this is a great way to allow your vote and your voice to reach the leaders of the government, the elected officials, and actually help them understand where their constituents want them to go. And on the tough issues, I mean, we're talking about guns, abortion, term limits. I mean, holding the congressional representatives responsible for shutting down the government. We could have, basically say if you're going to shut down the government, then you don't get a paycheck either. Some sort of legislation to get the congressional representatives. By the way, every 2 years, these guys have to go and get elected. So this is a great way for them to stay in touch. Now, let's educate the audience just a little bit about blockchain. Now, I did an interview many years ago, and this is how it was described to me, and it's probably false, but I'm going to tell you what the guy told me. He said, try to envision an accountant with a spreadsheet or some sort of documentation. We were talking real estate in this interview, and he said, if Mr. Jones is selling to Mr. Smith, then there's a transaction that is recorded on a particular day, and then try to envision another 1,000 accountants verifying that transaction occurred. And it's held on multiple servers throughout all of the world. So if one server goes down, something gets destroyed, a bomb gets dropped on this particular server, the other servers have this recorded. Is that a good description? That's a pretty good analogy, actually, because that's the basic premise is that in our traditional, say, banking system, if we're talking about Bitcoin was the original use case for blockchain. Obviously, there are many use cases now for blockchain, but the original use case is that in our traditional banking system, you rely on a trusted agent to be keeping track of all the transactions. And so you're relying on the bank to know how much money is in your account. So that can create some problems if you get the too big to fail problem, right? If you think about when blockchain was first established, it was right during the financial market crash,
2009, I believe, when the original Bitcoin paper came out. And so folks were looking for a better way to eliminate those gatekeepers in the system and do it in a decentralized way so that all of us as a community could verify these payments and transactions independently. And so if one bank fails, for example, you don't have the entire financial market collapsing as a result and dragging everything down with it because they happen to be all the key payments processor, right? So you want a system that is decentralized and independently verified without needing a trusted intermediary. That's what blockchain is meant to do. But what it does in the case of voting and elections, where that's advantageous, is that you have a greater protection against any attempts to manipulate vote tallies or results because you have so many copies of the blockchain that is carrying those results so that they're independent in independently auditable hands so that no one organization could, say, manipulate stuff ballots, let's say, if that at the risk, you know. So I'm excited about what this technology can provide, especially everything we've gone through in the last several years around these threats of voting manipulation that has caused a lot of concern. I do think there's an opportunity for a new this technology to really revolutionize the way we think of voting and also bring it to us in a real-time, on-demand style in the same way that Netflix brought movies into our living room on demand. I happen to think that we now have the technology to do voting on demand, and we should be participating all the time rather than once every couple of years.
We got about a minute left here. People that might want to get information, how can they reach you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Right. So you can go to digitaldemocracyproject.org. It's an org because we're a nonprofit. You can also Google Digital Democracy Project and check out our website. You can also take a look at Votes. Votes is the commercial product that we're using, voatz.com. And actually, they do some work in Arizona as well. I believe the Arizona Republicans use the Votes mobile app. Chandler County used the Votes mobile app for military voters. And I'll tease this thing for you, Rex, before we go to the break, but we're actually looking to incorporate Arizona state legislation in 2026. So I'm very excited about the fact that Arizona voters will be able to vote on bills in their legislature.
Fantastic. Now, listen, we got to do a quick break here. Could you stay with us? Right after the commercial, come back. We want to go into a little bit more detail how people can get involved. This is a revolutionary technology and opportunity. So please, Ramon, stay with us. Everybody, you also stay with us. We got to do a break, but we're coming right back.